And I hope you had a fruitful and constructive engagement and discussion with other participants and speakers in your respective breakout room. We will now move on to the next session, a panel discussion on empowering artisanal fisheries in view of ensuring sustainable fisheries and increasing requirement for the decarbonization. And this session will be moderated by Ibu Adriani Kusumawardani, acting as Deputy Director for Maritime Resilience, Deputy of Maritime Sovereignty and Energy from Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs. And with that, I now invite the moderator and all the speakers to go to the podium. All right, thank you so much. I will now turn it over to Ibu Dani to start and lead the discussion. Thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank all respective speakers and participants to this panel discussion. I have been tasked as a moderator for today's discussion at the annual Southeast Asia Forum on Sustainable Capture Fisheries with the topic of empowering artisanal fisheries in view of ensuring sustainable fisheries and the increasing requirement for decarbonization. We will have 4 speakers, will be continued by question and answer. So before we proceed to our speaker for next 1 hour, we will discuss the empowerment, how the artisanal fishery ensuring sustainable fisheries and increasing requirement for decarbonization as one of priority issues in Indonesia's G20 presidency. We will address the challenge faced by artisanal fisheries and the increasing requirement for decarbonization, while still we have to ensure sustainable fisheries. Without further ado, I would like to invite our first speaker, Mr. Ridwan Mulyana, the Director for Marine Resources Management, Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries of the Republic Indonesia. Mr. Ridwan.
Halo, selamat pagi menjelang siang. Terima kasih Ibu Adriani, Ibu Moderator, Bapak Ibu sekalian, para narasumber, Bapak Ibu sekalian yang hadir di forum ini. Izinkan saya mewakili Bapak Direktur Jenderal Perikanan Tangkap, Bapak Dr. Muhammad Zaini. Terima kasih. Apakah suara kami cukup terdengar?
Clear, Pak. Please do.
Terima kasih. Saya sudah menyampaikan, Bu, harus menyampaikan ini.
Silakan.
Sekarang,
silakan,
baik.
Pak.
Terima kasih.
Yes, the time is yours, Pak.
Baik, saya kira yang paling utama adalah kita harus memahami secara bersama bahwa bagaimana posisi tadi seperti moderator sampaikan peran perikanan skala kecil dan artisanal di Indonesia dan bagaimana upaya-upaya pemerintah untuk meningkatkan taraf hidup, kesejahteraan ke depan. Jadi pada bagian awal kami akan sampaikan bahwa memang pemerintah Indonesia dalam hal ini Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan menganggap bahwa perikanan skala kecil ini termasuk subsisten dan artisanal ini baik yang beroperasi di wilayah perairan umum daratan maupun laut itu memiliki peranan yang sangat penting di dalam perikanan nasional. Jadi memiliki kontribusi yang utamanya adalah juga dalam hal ketahanan pangan dan juga gizi masyarakat. Peranan skala kecil ini tentunya juga dicirikan dengan ukuran skala usahanya yang memang tergolong kecil sehingga kegiatannya hanya dapat memenuhi kebutuhan hidup sehari-hari. Perikanan ini juga memiliki akses terbuka atau open access terhadap sumber daya dan memiliki karakteristik menggunakan alat penangkapan atau teknologi yang relatif rendah. Di tataran global memang peran dari perikanan skala kecil ini memperkerjakan lebih dari 90% dari total 38 juta nelayan tangkap dan pekerja perikanan dunia. Dan setengahnya adalah perempuan. Jadi di sisi lain juga lebih dari 100 juta orang terlibat dalam sektor pasca panen skala kecil ini. Data statistik perikanan kita di Indonesia mencatat bahwa sekitar 1,8 juta orang yang tinggal di wilayah pesisir terlibat di dalam perikanan secara kecil. Jumlah ini memang jauh lebih besar dibandingkan mereka yang terlibat dalam perikanan skala menengah dan besar apabila digabung. Jadi Bapak Ibu sekalian yang saya hormati, demikian saya kira arti penting daripada perikanan skala kecil tadi seperti yang disampaikan oleh Ibu Moderator. Kemudian juga bagaimana peran government di dalam hal ini, bahwa pemerintah Indonesia khususnya KKP terus berupaya menjadikan perikanan skala kecil ini menjadi penopang hidup nelayan yang berkontribusi pada perekonomian nasional, dan upaya-upaya ini diperkuat dalam bentuk legislasi beberapa peraturan perundang-undangan yang ditujukan bagi nelayan kecil seperti Undang-Undang Nomor 45 Tahun 2009 tentang Perikanan, Undang-Undang Nomor 7 Tahun 2016 khusus tentang perlindungan dan pemberdayaan nelayan, pembudidaya ikan dan tambak garam, serta Peraturan Pemerintah Nomor 50 Tahun 2015 tentang pemberdayaan nelayan kecil dan pembudidaya ikan kecil. Nah, keberpihakan pemerintah ini dalam perlindungan nelayan sebagaimana acuan Undang-Undang Nomor 7 Tahun 2016 meliputi beberapa strategi yang dilakukan, antara lain penyediaan prasarana usaha perikanan, kemudian kemudahan akses dalam memperoleh sarana usaha perikanan, jaminan kepastian usaha, jaminan risiko penangkapan ikan, penghapusan praktek biaya ekonomi tinggi, juga pengendalian impor komoditas perikanan dan jaminan keamanan serta keselamatan, juga bantuan hukum. Jadi Bapak Ibu sekalian saya hormati, tujuan dari perlindungan dan pemberdayaan nelayan skala kecil ini untuk meningkatkan kapasitas para nelayan untuk mendapatkan taraf hidup yang lebih baik sehingga dalam rangka mewujudkan kemandirian dan daya saing usaha perikanan tangkap. Dan juga tentunya pemerintah Indonesia juga menaruh perhatian khusus terhadap kepentingan nelayan kecil dalam forum-forum perikanan internasional seperti yang kita lakukan saat ini, khususnya terkait pengaturan perikanan skala kecil seperti penerapan prinsip-prinsip FAO Voluntary Guidelines for Securing Sustainable Small Scale Fisheries, ataupun di dalam negosiasi seperti subsidi perikanan di WTO. Saya kira demikian terkait arti nelayan skala kecil dan program pemerintah. Untuk selanjutnya nanti kita lanjutkan ke topik lain tentang nelayan kecil. Demikian Ibu Moderator, terima kasih.
Thank you, Pak Ridwan, for your insight perspective regarding the how government of Indonesia actually care and try to match with all regulation to protect and to keep the standard of living of artisanal fishermen or small-scale fishermen or fisheries can have a basic standard and equal with other opportunities of job. So this one also give us important value that artisanal fisheries contribute a vast number of catch fish in Asia, and also
Yes.
as a giving a job empowerment in some issues in the artisanal fisheries. So, Bapak, is there any additional comment that you would like to add, or I can invite a second speaker? Pak Ridwan?
Saya masih ada tambahan, saya kira ada topik yang saya lewatkan. Jadi program KKP yang dilakukan untuk mendukung upaya pemberdayaan kecil itu adalah kita sedang melaksanakan penangkapan ikan secara terukur, di mana ini adalah mengimplementasikan prinsip blue economy, kegiatan optimalisasi dan penangkapan ikan kita pastikan berkelanjutan. Jadi tidak hanya aspek sumber daya ikan dan ekonomi yang dihasilkan, tetapi juga kelestarian lingkungan laut dan aspek sosial harus tetap terjaga. Apa yang kita lakukan, kita harus memastikan bahwa nelayan kecil ini mendapat perhatian utama, yaitu dengan kita harus menjaga tadi kelestarian laut sebagai penopang bagaimana sumber daya ikan ini tetap ada untuk mereka, tetap berlanjut. Yang kedua tentunya dengan penangkapan ikan terukur ini kita mendefinisikan dan menyediakan kuota khusus untuk mereka. Kuota ini tujuannya adalah pengendalian kuota ini untuk bagaimana supaya upaya-upaya atau penangkapan ikan baik bukan hanya nelayan kecil sebetulnya, untuk nelayan skala besar dan untuk kepentingan lain seperti non komersial atau hobi juga tetap terjaga dalam batas ketersediaan sumber daya ikan itu. Kemudian juga hal-hal lain seperti kita juga melakukan pengintegrasian program, Ibu Moderator, Bapak Ibu sekalian, karena memang kami bersyukur tidak hanya KKP yang melakukan intervensi program terkait pemberdayaan masyarakat, termasuk di dalam hal ini masyarakat nelayan skala, tetapi kami mendapatkan support dari beberapa pihak, kementerian lembaga lain seperti Kementerian Koperasi dan UKM, kemudian Kementerian Lingkungan Hidup, PUPR, dan sebagainya. Ini kami bingkai di dalam suatu kawasan terfokus di dalam suatu program namanya Kampung Nelayan Maju. Jadi dampak yang kita harapkan adalah magnitud atau efek daripada pemberdayaan program-programnya dan juga hasil output dan outcome terhadap kesejahteraan nelayan dan kualitas lingkungan nelayan yang lebih baik itu menjadi meningkat. Jadi ini kita lakukan melalui integrasi dengan program namanya Kampung Nelayan Maju. Nah, terkait dengan prinsip blue economy juga kami secara tentunya masif kita kenalkan dengan penggunaan teknologi-teknologi yang ramah lingkungan di dalam, termasuk kita tempuh salah satu misalkan konversi bahan bakar minyak sebagai salah satu komponen penting di dalam usaha penangkapan ikan menjadi bahan bakar gas dan sebagainya. Kemudian juga penggunaan tenaga surya untuk membantu usaha-usaha penangkapan ikan nelayan yang ramah lingkungan dan menghasilkan hasil penangkapan ikan yang lebih baik, dan beberapa hal lain yang kita juga disupport oleh lembaga-lembaga lain baik NGO ataupun perguruan tinggi. Saya kira tambahan dari kami demikian. Terima kasih Bu Moderator.
Thank you, Pak Ridwan, for your insightful statement. So I would like to highlight a little bit here that the Indonesian government has established rules for the types of fishing gear that allowed and prohibited in Indonesian waters. So including the regulation of the fishing grounds. And the government provided assistance in the form of providing environmentally friendly fishing gear in accordance with the provision for fishing communities. And this one, the Indonesia government has committed to achieving its carbon neutrality by the target of 2060, including the development of large-scale renewable energy. So for the capture fisheries subsector, the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries has developed technology for converting fuel to gas fuel for the main propulsion engine for fishing vessels. And the fossil fuel to gas conversion program target fishermen who have vessel for less than 5 GT with engine power below the 13 horsepower. This tool was also distributed for fishermen as a government assistance several years ago. So I think this one is the highlight of what Mr. Ridwan said or stated today. And I would like, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite now our second speaker, Ms. Ana Maria Suarez Duzan. She is representative of the FAO to deliver her presentation. Stage is yours, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Adriani. Thank you very much for the organizers of this event for inviting us. It is my pleasure to be here today and introduce to you the International Year of Fisheries and Aquaculture 2022. If you can play my slides, please. Yeah, you can go to the next one. Thank you. So let me start by sharing some facts about the importance of small fisheries. Estimate that about 40% of the global captive fisheries production comes actually from inland and marine small-scale fisheries. And if we consider all the people employed in the small-scale fisheries, those that operate in subsistence fisheries and their household members, almost 500 million people depend at least partially on small-scale fisheries for their livelihoods. Importantly, 4 out of 10 people that work in small-scale fisheries are women. And small-scale fisheries produce a lot of small fish, which is particularly rich in micronutrients for the communities where they live. And if we look at governance, according to the recent estimates we did based on data from 58 countries, co-management is co-management is implemented only 2 out of 10 tons of catch from the small-scale fisheries sector. Next slide, please. I'm going to play, if we can play a very short video of 1 minute.
Our small actions can have big impact, like a ripple effect. Small-scale fishing and aquaculture can bring food to one family and provides healthy nutrition to millions more. It brings value to all. Small-scale fishers and fish farmers also know what it means to preserve the balance in our ecosystem. But our livelihoods are at risk. Now more than ever, we need to be resilient, include us in decisions that affect us, and we will adapt and innovate with the changing tide. We may be small in scale, but our way of life will keep on making a difference and spread like ripples in the water.
Thank you. If you go to the next slide. Thank you. So a little of the International Year of Fisheries and Aquaculture. So in 2014, the 31st session of the Committee on Fisheries endorsed the voluntary guidelines for securing sustainable small-scale fisheries in the context of food security and poverty eradication that we call for short the ASEAF guidelines. And after 6 years of preparation and consultations globally, regionally, and nationally. In 2016, the FAO Committee on Fisheries endorsed the proposal from the group of Latin American and Caribbean countries to hold an international year on small-scale fisheries and aquaculture with the purpose of sensitizing public opinion and governments on these subsectors and on the importance of adopting specific public policies and programs to enable them to operate in a sustainable manner. In 2017, the 72nd session of the General Assembly of the UN proclaimed 2022 as the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture, and FAO is the lead agency. Yeah, next slide, please. The International Year of Fisheries and Aquaculture has 2 objectives. The first one is to enhance global awareness, understanding, actions to support the contribution and sustainable development of small-scale artisanal fisheries and aquaculture to food security and nutrition, poverty eradication, and the use of natural resources. And the second is to promote dialogue and collaboration among small-scale artisanal fishers, fish farmers, fish workers, governments, and partners to further strengthen their capacity to enhance fisheries and aquaculture sustainability, social development, and well-being. So IAFA is an opportunity to showcase the potential and diversity of the small-scale fishery sector, to facilitate partnerships and cooperation among stakeholders to achieve sustainable development. Next slide, please. So what stakeholders involved in IAFA? So IAFA is governed by the International Steering Committee of state representatives from each of the 7 FAO regions, along with non-state actors from the UN, NGOs, civil society organizations, research and academia, and the private sector. They support the implementation of IAFA 2022 through guidance and assistance, the mobilization of political and financial support, and enabling regional efforts to celebrate the International Year. So each FAO region is represented in the IAFA International Steering Committee by a member, and in some cases there is also an alternative or an observer. And Indonesia is one of the states representatives in this steering committee. So they work together to further the celebration of the International Year in the respective regions and lend support to the International Year more generally. In addition, other UN organizations and non-state actors organizations specialized in small-scale fisheries complement this steering committee. This balance of regional and thematic areas of expertise is key to ensure the success of the International Year of Fisheries and Aquaculture. Next slide, please. So I'm going to give you just a brief overview of the Global Action Plan for IAFA. Next slide. Okay. So the Global Action Plan of the International Year of Fisheries and Aquaculture aims at building global momentum to empower small-scale fisheries and aquaculture and ensure the sustainable future for these important sectors. So IAFA has 7 pillars. Environmental sustainability, so the use of biodiversity sustainably. Economic sustainability, support inclusive value chains. Social sustainability, to secure inclusion and well-being. Governance, to ensure effective participation in building and strengthening enabling policy environments. Gender equality, to acknowledge that women and men are equal in the small-scale fisheries and aquaculture sector, and everywhere, of course. Food security and nutrition, to promote the contribution to healthy diets in sustainable food systems, and resilience, to increase the preparedness and adaptive capacity to environmental degradation, shocks, disasters, and climate change. Next slide, please. So how can we encourage holder engagement in the International Year of Fisheries and Aquaculture? So different stakeholders are critical to make this year a success, and we encourage all of you not only to reach out to FAO and to the IAFA International Steering Committee, but also to host and organize events of your own, share your activity, and contribute to the IAFA newsletter that we publish every month. Encourage different partners to join IAFA as supporters and collaborate with them in celebrations. And when you do anything on in activities that include small-scale fisheries or aquaculture, please use the IAFA hashtag in your social media communications. Next. So these are some examples of web workshops and that have been taking place in the Southeast Asia region. So there is one coming up in September 19 to 20 19-20 September, which be a conference called Fishing for Life. And it's a conference on the small-scale fisheries and aquaculture in Southeast Asia. There was also the launch of a beautiful e-photo book that was launched last month. I am pleased if you can share the link to the photo book in the chat. It'll be great so people can have access to it. And there was, for example, a webinar series on women and gender in small-scale fisheries in Southeast Asia that took place in March. So I encourage you to visit our website, visit the events that are happening in your region. There is a map of where the events are happening, and of course, a lot of them still virtual. These are, if you go to the next slide, please. So these are some examples of articles and publications in the Southeast Asia region. So there's one, for example, the restoration of productive aquatic ecosystems by small-scale fisheries and aquaculture in communities in Asia, and a study of the roles of women and men in the small-scale fisheries and aquaculture in Asia. So I also encourage you to read these articles and publications. Next slide, please. So I invite you to let's celebrate this year, share your events. If you want more information, you can go to this link, and I leave you my email, so you can send me any further questions. We can continue the conversation, or also if you want to share anything that you're doing in the region in relation to small-scale fisheries, please share with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ana Maria Suarez Duzan. She is a human rights specialist, fisheries division of the FAO. So she promoted the global awareness, understanding, and action to support the contribution and sustainable development of small-scale artisanal fisheries and aquaculture to food security and nutrition, poverty eradication, and use of natural resources. She also promoted dialogue and collaborating among small-scale artisanal fishers, fish farmers, fish workers, governments, and other partners to further strengthen their capacity to enhance fisheries and aquaculture sustainability, social development, and well-being. Ladies and gentlemen and excellencies, I would like to give you a quote from FAO, which is said that this one is a vision statement from FAO, a world in which small-scale artisanal fishers, fish farmers, and fish workers are fully recognized and empowered to continue their contribution to human well-being, healthy food system, and poverty eradication through the responsible and sustainable use of fisheries and aquaculture resources. I think everybody have to, do and have a strong commitment, right, Ms. Dusan? So without further ado, I would like to invite the third speaker, which is Dr. Kung Fan Juntara Shote, the Emeritus Professor at the Faculty of Fisheries at Katsarsart University. The time is yours.
Thank you. For my talk, I would like to present what TBTI do for the small-scale fisheries. At the beginning, I would like to introduce what TBTI. Maybe many of you don't know that the TBTI organization. The TBTI is a project that derived from the beginning. We have a IncoFish project that funded by EU. And then after that, we have a fishery governance, and fish POF is a poverty in fisheries. And then after that, we formulate a project proposed to Canadian funding agency for TBTI, too big to ignore. And from too big to ignore, we have additional project on V2V, vulnerability to viability. And the other one is a DFM, Dire Fish Matter. This one we have to study on the value chain of catch of small-scale fisheries. And then from these activities, we organized World Small-Scale Fishery Congress. The first one in Bangkok, second one in Mexico, the third one in Chiang Mai, and the fourth one last month in Japan. This is a floor for all researchers from over the world to present their findings on small-scale fisheries development. And finally, we have what we call TBTI Global Foundation. Because once the TBTI project is finished, so in 2019, we established this foundation in order to continue what we have done in TBTI project. And in conclusion, I would like to mention that TBTI is a global research network and knowledge mobilization partnership that focus on addressing issues and concerns affecting viability and sustainability of small-scale fisheries. If you want to learn more in detail, you can go to the Too Big to Ignore. So in this web, you can see many outcomes from the project. As I mentioned, TBTI is funded by Social Science and Humanities Research Council of Canada. What we do, we facilitate networking opportunities, organize meeting, workshop, and webinars, develop capacity in transdisciplinary research, connect science to policy and society. This activity we emphasize, try to push our findings for policymaker to policymaker, and then to produce books, papers, reports, and briefs for society. And finally, we host World Small-Scale Fishery Congress in every 4 years. We have 5 objectives in our program. The first one is to understand the importance of small-scale fishery to livelihoods, poverty, alleviation, and food security. These are, we can say, these are main objectives. And explore a small-scale fishery contribution to economic development, sustainability, and community viability. Assess vulnerability of small-scale fishery to global change process. Improve policy discussion and decision-making about small-scale fishery. Strengthen knowledge about small-scale fishery and build capacity in research and governance. Finally, to advance implementation of the voluntary guidelines for securing sustainable small-scale fisheries in the context of food security and poverty. And in the future, we have to try to follow up the IFA. Our project produced many books relating to small-scale fisheries. The first one we have the Poverty Mosaic. This one we look at the research opportunities and prospects in small-scale fisheries. From this book, we can find many research questions from our finding. And the second book is Social Well-being and Values of Small-Scale Fisheries. From this book, you can see that the country that give a high value of small-scale fishery is easier to manage or develop them. So the values that social give to the small-scale fishery is one of the key factors to get good success in development of the small-scale fisheries. The third one is interactive of small-scale fisheries, global reflection. We have a small-scale fishery, contemporary visions. This one come from the outcome of the first small-scale fisheries congress in Bangkok. And we have the small-scale fishery guideline, global implementation. And the latest one, we have the Blue Justice, small-scale fishery in a sustainable ocean economy. And from our study, we found that we give low attention to small-scale fishery in blue economy. So we ask for blue justice for the small-scale fisheries. And I have a specific paper on small-scale fishery in Europe and viability and sustainability of small-scale fisheries in Latin America and the Caribbean. Because of TBTI is a global network, so we produce book relating to every regions. Apart from, if you want to, all of the books, we have a same pattern, red and black. So you can find from bookshop or internet. Apart from this, TBTI also provide e-books, many e-books that you can download from TB Knowledge. So this what I try to conclude what we find from our previous study from ecofish to dry fish matter. The key roles of small-scale artisanal fishery to national economy is, I think, more or less the same as in every country. The first role is food security. Fish products from small-scale fishery is key of food security for the local people along the coastal area, and also create employment. As Maria mentioned, that we have millions of small-scale fishers in the world. So small-scale fishery can absorb labor force coastal area. And also there's on the coastal communities economic development. From my study, I found that once the small-scale fishery has developed, the economy of the communities also develop. We have a downstream and upstream linkage economy. And in Thailand, we found that many production of from small-scale fishery can export to the world market. For example, is dry shrimp, crab meat in can, and also the small-scale fishery create national income to the economy. Although it's not a big portion, because we in the some country has a big development in industrial sector and tourist sector. So the income that create from the small scale fishery is relatively small, but it still have some role on that. This question that's aside from the conferences, the green energy transition, TBTI we mainly focus on bycatch, on destructive gears, and full utilization of catch from small-scale fishery. So we try to have a zero waste develop market. If we, from our assumption, if we can support small-scale fishery to have good income, better livelihood, if that they will reduce emission or reduce carbon dioxide release emission. In Thailand, in the past, some of fish was dumped as a waste, so it creates some methane that cause for the climate change later. But from TBTI program, we are planning to look for this issue in the future. So we're thinking about the change from second-hand truck engine to marine engine. Thailand is the case on this. In the past, most of the engine used in small-scale fishery is like second-hand truck engines that create a lot of emission. But right now, with the supporting from government, many of small-scale fishers, they change from use a truck engine to new marine engine, and then reduce fuel consumption and also emission from the engine. And during the oil crisis, the last, not the present one, the last oil crisis, I found that many small-scale fishers in the country, in Thailand, I mean, they use liquid petroleum gas instead of diesel engine. So that one can reduce some emission too. For sailing, SEFDEC tried to introduce this one, but cannot get access because most of the fishers they don't want to use it. It's exhaust flame, use more energy. And the other one, somebody tried to maybe propose on solar energy and rechargeable battery. For my opinion, I think this one can be used for the small-scale artisanal fisheries. That fishing within 1 or 2 nautical miles, not far from shore. Otherwise, they have to use a very big battery. So the towards the decline of small-scale fisheries, I think the factors that will affect to the declining of small-scale fishery. The first one is the degradation of aquatic environment and fishery resources. Right now, we have to accept that our sea is contaminated by a lot of plastic, waste from household, waste from industries, as well as from the some agricultural waste. That in Thailand we have, in Japan and Thailand has conducted a study on the contamination of microplastic in fish. In Japan, study on anchovy and found that there are quite a big number of microplastic in the sleep system of anchovy. Fortunately, this microplastic cannot pass through the body, just within the digestive system. In Thailand, we collect some samples of shrimp paste, and we found microplastic on that too. Now we are trying to find how to remove all the microplastic on that. So in the future, we have to be careful of pollution, contamination. The factor that control the total amount of catch or the size of population in natural water environment. If you have a poor environment, the stock size will decline. That results to the low productivity and low profitability to small-scale fishery. If they cannot get a good profit, they have to quit. An increase in is the other factors that will result to the declining of small-scale fishery. In Thailand now, if you want to invest in a fishing boat, the outboard engine fishing boat with a range of 12 to 16 meters, it costs you around for $40,000. It's a big cost. And job opportunities. Work fishery is as 3D jobs: dirty, dangerous, difficult. So if the local people has job opportunity, work in the other sector, they have to go. A better education. Young people don't want to enter the fisheries, and cost of enter fishery might be prohibitive. Regulation is either and facilitating or too restrictive. Finally, action commitment and ensuring the sustainability of small-scale fishery, resource and seafood supply in the region. We have to protect and recording the habitat, including coral reef, seagrass, bed, and mangrove forest. Improve value chains, try to shorten value chains, post-harvest, operation and trade. Empower small-scale fishery in marketing so that they can negotiate price. Make the regulation work for, not against, small-scale fishery. Think about the whole value chain, organized in a way that suits the characteristic of small-scale fishery in the region. Then keep the operation small but viable. Lastly, engage families and communities in harvest and post-harvest activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kong Wan. So, if I may summarize that Professor Kong Wan has focused on development and management plans related to small-scale fisheries and on providing essential information to multi-stakeholders relevant to small-scale fisheries through personal observation, interview, and group discussion. And also, we all understand that the problem and constraint of small-scale fisheries are social, economic, and sometimes political. However, the most severe problem is poverty. And Professor Kung Wan also has described the major problems and constraints of small-scale fisheries, which is we need an appropriate laws and regulation for managing small-scale fisheries, as well as a decentralization of managing authority to local government, capacity building to small-scale fishers and others that relate to the small-scale fisheries development, and action and commitment for ensuring that sustainability of sustainable small-scale fisheries, resources, and seafood supply chain in the region is remain sustainable. So I would like, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call the last speaker, but not least, Mr. Risa Damanik, PhD. He is a General Chairman of Indonesia Traditional Fisher Union. Please, the time is yours.
Terima kasih Ibu Adriani. Let me introduce myself. I'm Riza Damanik, Chairperson of Indonesia Traditional Fisherfolk Union, or we call KNTI in Bahasa. It is a community-based organization of fishers located in 33 regions in Indonesia. Our focus are to strengthen fishers' economic institutions, increase fishers' capacity building, advocate the policies, and actively restore a coastal ecosystem. I have a slide, I think, if you can share, I'm very happy.
Yes, please.
Small-scale and traditional fishers have an essential role in providing employment, fulfilling food needs, and meeting the economic condition, and directly related to environmental and cultural sustainability. Next slide, maybe. Some of speakers already mentioned about this. I remember also the message from our Secretary General of FAO,
Pak Damanik, you missing now.
Small-scale fisheries also contribute more than half of the world's marine and inland fish catches. However, blah, 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 many of their families are food insecure. Of course, this is a paradox that we are working together to overcome, and does not affect only small-scale fisheries. So I am agree to say that it is impossible for all of us to achieve food sustainability, poverty alleviations, and unemployment without granting the sustainability of small-scale fishing activities. Next slide. Dear friends and ladies and gentlemen, in Indonesia, small-scale and traditional fisheries provide hope for sustainability of fisheries management. The fishery practice use a variety of fishing gears, of course, with the environmentally friendly. The fishing locations are also diverse. From one point to another point, so not exploit in the one point. But we realize there are one or two fishers who are not friendly. But we have a local knowledge and wisdom, have made this practice, this bad practice, have high social sanction in its environment. Next slide. We in KNTI conducted a joint survey with the international budget partnership Initiative Association and FITRA National Secretariat from April to May 2021, yeah, in 10 provinces in Indonesia or 25 districts, involving around 5,292 respondents of fishers as a member of KNTI. I want to share you what the finding that from our survey. There are 5 challenges for small and traditional fishers based on our KNTI member. Yeah, first, not all fisher folks, yeah, not all fishers are recorded in fishery data collection and administration. At least in our survey set, 69% of them do not have a fisheries card, yeah, or identity. 80% do not have fishing vessel registration. 74% do not have a small pass, yeah, small boat pass. So of course there is implications of the situations, yeah, that they do not get access to assistance, facility from the government program. Yeah. Next slide. Second, limited infrastructure and access to subsidized fuel. We know even though 60 to 70% of fishing coast activities are for fuel. Yeah, in this data set that show that around 60%, yeah, around 60% of our fishers know their right, yeah, to access the subsidized fuel, yeah, but we found that 82% of fishers not have access for the fuel subsidies. Yeah, even this is a part of their right actually as a part of our state obligation. Yeah. Next slide. Uncertainty, there is also a problem of uncertainty of fish absorption and price. Yeah, this is the fact is that not all daily catches are absorbed in the market. The survey said around 20 to 30% of the catches were not sold at the same day. Yeah, so there is the situations, not all the catch fish from the fishing community, yeah, the small scale fisheries and traditional fisheries, easy to get the access for the good price and market to solve their catch. Next slide. Difficulty accessing the financing. Yeah, I think it's similar with the other countries that already present before. Yeah, the fisheries business is still seen as a full of risk. Yeah, the fact only 2% of the total KUR. Yeah, this is the program of the government to give a special what you call special capital. Yeah, to help the small-scale fisheries to increase their productivity. So, but only 2% of the KUR, total budget of the KUR, yeah, is absorbed by the fishers. As a result, our fishers are trapped, yeah, with the high interest loan. Next slide. Climate change and disruption of tenure access. Yeah, it is possible because of the misuse of marine space, like in Thailand, already mentioned before, or also about environmental distractions. Yeah, in some issues, we found that there is a misunderstanding about what is the tenure access mean. Yeah, in some local government interpret this access, tenure access as a housing only, yeah, or only for the fishing activities, yeah, without consider the comprehensive meaning of the tenure right of small scale fisheries like Fiji SSF already Anna mentioned before. Next slide. ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia has, in my experience, at least in the last 20 years, yeah, Indonesia has a better instrument right now, yeah, for the protecting fishers activity and family. Yeah, we have some law already exists. Recently, we have law number 7, 2016, yeah, on the protection of fishers, fish cultivators, and salt farmers. This is direct and indirect, of course, a part of our priority after Fiji SSF approved in 2014. Based on this policy, we consider at least there are 3 methods that already provided by the government, yeah, to make our fishers, small-scale fishers, more better life. Yeah, first, protection through tenure access. Yeah, including guarantee of business certainty, yeah, elimination of high-cost economic practices, security and safety assurance, yeah, legal facilitation and assistance. Yeah, this is under the protection method. Secondly, empowerment, yeah, through participation in pre-planning, implementations, and monitoring. Yeah. Institutional strengthening, yeah, and also financing through education and training, counseling and monitoring, business partnership, yeah, provision of fishery business infrastructure and facilities. So most of the issues that already raised, yeah, in Fiji SSF or during our negotiation to provide the Fiji SSF actually already put in our national law. But again, the issues is about the implementations. So that's why during the break session, break room sessions, I mentioned or asked to Anna, yeah, if we have already the instrument that already implement to measuring, yeah, each country how to protect their small-scale fisheries. It will be interesting, yeah, to to everyone, yeah, to each country come more and more strong obligation to strengthen and empowering their small-scale fisheries. Next slide. This is my last slide. So in KNTI, yeah, of course, we are not just stop and waiting for the something good come. Yeah, we in KNTI have at least there are five things that we currently doing to address some of the challenge that I already mentioned before. First, by partnering with the Ministry of Marine and Fisheries Affairs, yeah, Pak Ridwan Maulana, we prepare, yeah, Kusuka self-help data collections operators. So now we have the operator in 20 KNTS regions where we had facilitated until now, yeah, until March 2022, it's around 5,000 our member already put in the data and then get their Kusuka card. Secondly, increasing access to subsidized fuel for fishers by providing 20 posts, yeah, in 20 regions to serve consultation, reporting, and assistance to gain access to administrative services such as making letters of recommendation for subsidized fuel and small boat pass. Yeah, this is a very important. Like I said before, if they lost this opportunity, so it will be more cost and more fragile and their family economic situations. Of course, not stop in here, yeah, but we need to make sure also the coastal areas clean, good situations, yeah, and then make the small scale fisheries not go too far, yeah, to get their to catch their fish, yeah, and it more efficient in terms of time and capital, of course. Third, yeah, we also strengthen the Fishers Economic Institution. This is one of the recent initiative in KNTI, in our member, to consolidating products processes, yeah, by KNTI members through KNTI cooperative. So we also have developed another business for coastal tourism in Indramayu. If you come to West Java, for example, come to Indramayu district, yeah, you can found we call Paris coastal tourism that are owned and managed by our member cooperative. Fourth, financial literacy improvement, yeah, by collaborating with a fintech, yeah. Lastly, we collaborate with Flip. We call Flip, yeah. This is one of the fintech to educate fishing communities on financial literacy and skill in managing finances, and agree also, and we agree on an MOU, yeah, with the State Saving Bank, yeah, BTN, to facilitate access to housing loans for small-scale fishers. This is around 2 months ago, yeah, I think, yeah. Lastly, coastal ecosystem rehabilitation. Yeah, this is also a part of our priority. We in KNTI organize mangrove restoration in some province. I can say North Sumatra, Aceh, yeah, North Kalimantan, West Java, yeah, in some other areas that we provide, yeah, some activities to make sure collaborate with TNI Angkatan Laut, pemerintah daerah dan lain-lain, ya, in the context of how to make the rehabilitation of mangrove ecosystem can be achieved in the near time. Once again, yeah, I believe, yeah, in this forum, I can say that small scale and traditional fisheries are a part of solutions. Yeah, so we call for collaborations among us, government, among organization, among international and regional body. Yeah, collaborations to make our small-scale and traditional fisheries more welfare and sustained. Thank you for this opportunity. I do hope that we will have fruitful and productive discussion and collaborations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Damanik. It's very insightful presentation. If I may summarize that small-scale fisheries having a strategic role as a provider of jobs, food needs, and economic sustainability, and small-scale fisheries also become an important driver in conserving fish and natural resources through a variety of local knowledge. And the ocean crisis is originated by the exploitative economic policies, which is coming from the land perspective or regulator. So therefore, our strong commitment to ensure adhere to the environmental sustainability must continue to be strengthened. And the important is artisanal fisheries can give a contribute to renewable energy in transition by giving access to financial institution with no complicated terms and conditions. So, ladies and gentlemen, Excellency, now it's time for me to invite your comments, your question and thoughts, or to share any ideas of this discussion. So don't forget to mention your name or your institution you represent, and which question to, what question to goes to the which speaker. So now I open the floor for maybe 1 or 2, 3 questions. Pak Eko? Professor, maybe Professor Excellency, Prof. Indro? Any comment? Yes, Bapak Radian is the Director of Treaty, International Treaty Law in Maritime, Coordinating Maritime Ministry of Maritime and Investment. Please do so.
Thank you very much, Ibu Dani. My question is for the first is Bapak Muhammad Zaini, Director General of Capture Fishery, Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fishery of the Republic of Indonesia.
Digantikan Pak Ridwan, Pak.
Oh, Pak Ridwan, maaf. Pak Ridwan, mohon izin. How the speaker view on small-scale fishermen initiative can utilize unconventional vessel that use environmental friendly renewable energy such as a fishing boats that utilize electric power and solar panel. And then the second one, is it the time for each Asian country to have a renewable energy ecosystem regulation for small-scale fishery, such as the use of renewable energy for cold chain and electric ship or solar panel? That's question. Thank you, Bu Dani.
Yes, mohon Pak Ridwan. Pak Ridwan, are you still with us? So the question is about how the small-scale artisanal fisheries or fisheries can utilize. Yes, please, Pak.
Baik, terima kasih ya Pak Radian atas pertanyaannya. Ini menarik bagaimana inisiatif-inisiatif terkait dengan lingkungan dalam hal pembangunan atau bagaimana pemberdayaan dengan skala kecil. Jadi memang lingkungan seperti saya sampaikan tidak bisa dipisahkan daripada keberlanjutan usaha perikanan skala kecil karena kita mengadopsi dari blue economy yang diimplementasikan ke dalam penangkapan ikan terukur bahwa bukan hanya sumber daya ikannya yang harus lestari juga, tetapi lingkungan, ekosistem sebagai penopang ikan itu juga kita harus perhatikan dengan baik. Jadi beberapa hal terkait inisiatif lingkungan, kita negara Indonesia ini aktif turut terlibat. Banyak sekali kerjasama kemitraan dengan baik itu pemerintah, bilateral, multilateral, internasional, bahkan dengan NGO ataupun dengan swasta. Kita berkolaborasi untuk hal ini, untuk pelestarian lingkungan, apakah itu habitat terumbu karangnya, kemudian mangrove, padang lamun dan sebagainya. Di samping itu juga tentunya dari sisi perikanannya, bagaimana supaya ikan ini lestari dan sebagainya. Praktek-praktek di dalam hal implementasi blue economy pun tentunya tidak terlepas bagaimana kita menggunakan bahan-bahan atau metode-metode yang ramah lingkungan, kemudian juga bisa didaur ulang dan juga hemat energi. Salah satunya memang tadi disebutkan Pak Radian, solar panel. Jadi kita memiliki program tentang hal ini di beberapa pelabuhan kita. Pelabuhan perikanan kita sudah install ya, khusus untuk pelabuhan perikanan pusat yang melayani juga banyak nelayan kecil, kita implementasikan tenaga surya ya. Kemudian juga hasil kunjungan Bapak Menteri kami ke Norwegia, kita komitmen untuk bagaimana mulai mengintroduksi kapal bertenaga surya, kapal perikanan bertenaga surya dan lain-lain. Jadi inisiatif-inisiatif ini kita laksanakan. Kemudian memang sudah waktunya memang kita memiliki dan menerapkan kaidah-kaidah ramah lingkungan ini. Saya kira ini bukan hal yang baru. Saya kira isu tentang di bidang pelabuhan misalkan kita kenal dengan blue fishing port ya, kemudian juga tentang bagaimana kaidah-kaidah tentang Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries yang diatur oleh FAO mengatur juga hal ini, bahwa intinya adalah kita melaksanakan tata kelola perikanan tangkap yang baik, efisien, dan bertanggung jawab dengan tentunya memperhatikan kelestarian lingkungan. Saya kira seluruh rantai bisnis yang dilakukan oleh nelayan skala kecil maupun nelayan skala besar, industri juga harus memperhatikan ini mulai dari hulu itu penangkapan ikannya dan kualitas lingkungannya, dan juga saat sedang melakukan penangkapan, wild fishing juga melakukan teknologi-teknologi yang saya kira harus ramah lingkungan tadi, dan juga pada saat setelah mendaratkan hasil perikanan, kita harus fasilitasi pelabuhan-pelabuhan kita, landing places kita dengan peralatan teknologi yang memang ramah lingkungan. Demikian dari kami, Pak Radian, terima kasih.
Thank you, Bapak Ridwan. If I may underline what Mr. Ridwan already stated, that Indonesia has strong commitment to develop environmentally friendly fishing port in the country in cooperation with some international partner and strategic partners to utilize environmentally friendly capture fisheries resources in the fishing port area. As well, Indonesia also ensure implementation of the seafood safety and quality assurance system to Indonesia fisheries product, implemented at 538 fishing port in Indonesia by certifying 1,200 export-oriented fishing vessel with good fish handling practice, or CPIB. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to open another question. Is there any? So, I see none. Maybe in the online?
Bu Dani, there is one question from Zoom. I will read it out.
Yes, please.
So it's from Mr. Taufik, Starling Resources Bali. The question reads, we have to admit that many small-scale fisheries involved in illegal and destructive fishing, operating small trawlers and dredges, for example, in north coast of Java. How the panelists see this issue? Because the practice are not only degrading the environment, but also create tension and conflict between small-scale fisheries. It also creates jealousy between fishers because destructive gears catch more fish, easy to operate, cheap and long-lasting. It attracts other fisheries to move to destructive gears. I hope that's clear enough.
Clear, yes. Okay. Is there any speaker that would like to answer?
Thank ingin menjawab ini.
Sorry. Thank you for the question. Yeah, this is an issue that we see not only in Java but in other regions of the world, and is the conflict as the small-scale fisheries guidelines suggest. What is important here is to give access to small-scale fisheries to the resources they need for their livelihoods. So the countries need to strengthen policies and legislation to regulate the fishing practices, and to also provide places to resolve conflict resolution. This can be done by, as I say, by policies, by legislation. At FAO we have different tools and guidance that countries can use to strengthen their policies and legal frameworks and address this type of issues. Thank you.
In the case we have a destructive gear in coastal area, is a big issue. I would like to give you the example in Thailand. In the past, we have many push net and small trawlers operate fishing in coastal area. But once we have a new fishery law, all of this destructive gear is banned in coastal area. But anyway, the government has some compensation to the one who operate push net in the past in the coastal area. So right now, we can eliminate all of the destructive gear in the coastal area. And the success not only because of the enforcement from the government, but also we got good cooperation of the coastal fishers. They have to something like a self-regulate. They inspect each other, and then nobody can, and nobody don't try to against or operate this destructive gear because the sanction is really expensive. By law, it's very costly. Once you against the regulation, you bankrupt. Yes.
Thank you, Prof. Pak Ridwan, Daman to give any comment as well? Yes, Bapak Ridwan, silahkan.
Sila Pak Ridwan.
Yes, please, Pak. Pak, you still mute?
Oke, mohon maaf. Ya, saya menambahkan dari beberapa panelis tadi memang ada dua hal saya kira. Satu karena ketidaktahuan masyarakat ya tradisional atau nelayan kecil terhadap regulasi. Yang kedua adalah mungkin karena terdorong atau terpaksa untuk melakukan itu karena untuk memenuhi kebutuhan hidup. Yang pertama ini yang karena ketidaktahuan kita memang perlu lakukan terus sosialisasi dan penyadartahuan karena memang regulasi sudah cukup memadai. Kita memiliki regulasi tentang pengaturan akses, baik itu jalur penangkapan ikan, jadi mana yang memang untuk nelayan kecil, mana yang nelayan menengah dan besar satu sama lain, terutama yang nelayan besar dan menengah tidak boleh masuk ke jalur nelayan kecil, tetapi yang nelayan kecil dipersilakan untuk masuk ke jalur untuk nelayan-nelayan yang lebih besar. Kemudian juga regulasi tentang alat tangkap yang membahayakan atau merusak lingkungan dan juga tentang mobilisasi nelayan antar daerah ini sudah ada regulasi yang kadang ini menimbulkan konflik. Jadi kita perlu lakukan terus sosialisasi. Yang kedua, supaya ini mengurangi dampak daripada akibat tadi terdorong oleh pemenuhan kebutuhan kesejahteraan, kita juga lakukan program-program penguatan untuk pemberdayaan dan peningkatan kesejahteraan. Seperti tadi kita melakukan diversifikasi usaha, bagaimana tidak hanya mengandalkan hasil laut, tetapi juga mereka mengolah dan memasarkan produk-produk yang mereka dapatkan. Kemudian juga diversifikasi usaha misalkan menjadi budidaya, kemudian juga ekowisata, dan juga semuanya itu kita lakukan di dalam suatu proses yang terintegrasi bersama-sama, karena hampir semua sektor saya kira juga government dan juga mitra-mitra juga memiliki program yang cukup banyak terkait hal ini, sehingga kita harus padukan. Saya kira itu dua hal intinya adalah penyadartahuan dan juga yang kedua ini saya sepakat dengan Profesor bahwa ini perlu juga pengawasan yang melibatkan masyarakat langsung di lapangan. Jadi sudah ada kelompok pengawas perikanan ya. Jadi ini juga perlu untuk mengawasi dan bagaimana penegakan aturan terkait hal ini. Demikian tambahan sedikit dari kami. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Bapak Ridwan. Thank you Pak Ridwan for your comments. And is there any added comment from Bapak Damanik?
Saya Pak, baik. I just want to add some issues ya. Tadi Pak Ridwan already mentioned about some issues about the capacity, about the economic situation, yeah. But another things that we also realize that there is a minimum data recorded on the small scale fisheries, yeah. That's why I'm not really sure that if the small-scale fisheries, for example, using the unsustained activities, for example, this is monetary good enough, yeah, in our system, yeah. That's why we agreed in KNTI as a priority of the government, at least until 2024, to make the data, good data to record all facial, and also the fishers, the fishers itself. So from that data, we can use to maintain, to facilitate, including to facilitate the unsustained fishing vessel, for example, to another sustained fishing vessel. That's the first things that I want to propose also. Secondly, of course, should be there is certainty for the small scale fisheries that using the unsustained activities, to change their equipment. We need to in some issues that I hear from some areas in Java, for example, this is not easy for them to get another loan, for example, to change the gears, for example. So I think we need to make the ecosystem more healthy for our fishing activities, or for our fishers to more sustain. This is because we know that the government already have many program already, but how to make this program come to a specific target of community that we need to support to more sustain in the near future. Thank you, Mbak.
Thank you, Pak Damanik. So if there is no question anymore, so I would like to wrap up that there are many or some homework to continue or to follow up on this discussion, especially everything related to the limitation of the coastal resources, lack of investment capital, inefficiency of fishing boat and fishing gear, lack of bargaining power at the market, lack of infrastructure and public utilities, lack of alternative source of income. So there are so many lack and limitation. This one is really heavy homework for us as a regulator, as a international organization, as a LSM or NGO, as academic, and I think everybody, stakeholders, have to do something, at least a small contribution. And again, ladies and gentlemen, let us give a big applause to the speakers, and the committee will work to formulate the summary report of this discussion and will circulate it at the earliest. And thanks again to all the participants for the active participation. And now the session is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terima kasih. Thank you, Bapak sekalian.
All right, thank you to all the speakers and Ibu Dani, of course, for that amazing discussion. I believe now we'll come to the final part of this event. I will invite Pak Marzuki Darusman, the chair of FIRST, to close this forum. Pak Marzuki Darusman, I will give the time to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In behalf of the Coordinating Ministry for Maritime Affairs and Fisheries and FIRST, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all the speakers, moderators, facilitators and participants and researchers who have participated in the first annual Southeast Asia Forum on Sustainable Capture Fisheries. It has been a great success. As we heard from the discussions held yesterday and today, large-scale and artisanal capture fisheries are very important industries for Southeast Asia. This sector has consistently contributed to the national economy and food security. It is projected that ASEAN's capture fisheries production will increase to 26.8 million tons in 2030 and remain a major source of fish supply in the region. Nonetheless, Southeast Asia fisheries stakeholders should ensure this positive contribution is not diminished by unsustainable fishery practices and human rights violations. This is important since there is a growing demand for sustainable fishery products. Major fisheries importing countries like Japan, the EU, and the United States have proposed or enacted laws that ban products caught by IUU fishing or require mandatory human rights and environmental due diligence by businesses. As a result, only fishery products produced through a process free from environmental destruction and human rights violations can enter these countries. In addition, an increasing number of investors are considering sustainability and human rights issues in their investment activities, including investment in the fisheries industry. Southeast Asia fishery stakeholders will need to work together to respond to the increasing passage of legislation on mandatory human rights and environmental due diligence, and the investors' growing interest in investing in sustainable business. The annual Southeast Asia Forum on Sustainable Capture Fisheries marks the first step for fisheries stakeholders in Southeast Asia to exchange information and increase the capacity of fisheries stakeholders on sustainability and business and human rights. Indeed, we are embarked on a very historic journey towards a new social economy in the region that is more inclusive, equitable, and open. We look forward to organizing this forum annually to ensure Southeast Asia fisheries stakeholders' continuous collaboration in achieving sustainable fisheries and increasing the competitiveness of fisheries businesses in Southeast Asia. In closing, I would like to again extend my deepest gratitude to the Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs for its continued support in organizing this event. Thank you to all, and we hope to see you again at future events. Safe travels. Thank you.
Thank you very much for delivering closing remarks, Pak Marzuki. I believe that concludes our forum today, and we would like to thank all the speakers and the participants for participating in this forum. We look forward to meeting with you again in the future. And before you leave and have a lunch, we will have a photo session together for the speakers. So please, for the speakers to go to the podium and in front of the podium, probably, like we just did yesterday. Yep, all the speakers, you may go to the in front of the podium. Yep. Mr. John. Oh, okay. And I believe moderators could also join the photo sessions, Budina and Pak Yadi. Yep, and in addition, for the speakers and participants who are joining us in the Zoom, we also have a photo session together. So if you are in the Zoom right now, if you could open your camera, that would be great. All right, great. We will count. Okay, I will wait more people to open the camera. All right, I will count in 1, 2, 3. Next slide. All right, I will count again. 1, 2, 3. And the last slide. All right, once again, 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you so much, all of the participants participating in the Zoom. See you next time. Yep, and for the participants and speakers, we still have lunch at the Benoit restaurant, the place when you had the breakfast and lunch earlier. Thank you so much.
Record.